G'day folks, welcome to this live playthrough of Crossing the Line, Aachen 1944. This is a design by VUCA Simulations. So this is a review copy they provided for me, and I'm finally getting some time to get to it. Now I've just had to restart the recording. I had some microphone issues, so I was 20 minutes into the explanation of this when I realised there was an echo. Thanks for pointing that out. So, starting again, and what we have here is Scenario 1, First Blood. This is an introductory scenario, which is really well for solitaire play, because basically in this scenario you've got the 1st US Infantry Division attacking the West Wall just outside of Aachen, which is just here, and the Germans here are motionless, inactive. They don't do anything except retreat and sit there and do nothing. So it's really good for learning the game. You control the 1st Infantry Division. It's erasing its time, this scenario. So you've got up to 5 formation activations, and you are trying to capture these 3 VP hexes as quickly as possible. If you can do it in 2 activations, I think it's called a decisive victory. Up to 4 is still a victory. 5 or more is not great. They encourage you to retry it. The way this game works is basically on your turn you activate one of your formations. So you can see down here I have the 1st Infantry Division formation marker here. They're on 7 and they'll gradually go down. Every time you activate a formation, you do a formation activation roll. You consult this little sheet on which I'm resting my microphone. You consult this sheet. So at formation level 7, you roll the die, and this is how many activations you get. How many action points you get. You then spend these action points to conduct actions with the units of that formation. Usually it'll be movement or a type of attack. And one of the great things about this game, this system, is whenever you move into an enemy zone of control of an undisrupted unit within range of its HQ, they can roll for a reaction. So there's an opportunity that you can move adjacent to the Germans, and then they will get a reaction, and they can suddenly bring forces to bear and counterattack against you. It won't happen in this scenario, as I said, because the Germans are inactive, but it can happen in a 2-player game. So in this particular scenario, I'm controlling the 1st Division. I need to capture these 3 objective hexes here, and the way I'm thinking about this is by striking at the northern end here and then working my way down. In the combat rules for this game, the defender, there are a couple of different dice roll modifiers that apply, but the defender gets dice roll modifiers, a -1 dice roll modifier for every adjacent friendly unit of the same formation. So if I attacked, for example, this unit in the middle here, they would get a -1 for here and a -1 for here, plus the impact of the West Wall hex side barrier there. Quite a formidable defence. If I attack this northern unit here, they get a -1 dice roll modifier here, but there's no unit to their northern boundary, and there's no West Wall line along here. There is a pillbox in this hex, so it is a pillbox in a dense forest, which doesn't do too much to hurt me, but the best thing here is the lack of a -1 dice roll modifier in that northern hex. So my plan is to attack from here and work my way down. What else can I point out at this stage? Look, units have pretty low movement rates of just 2. But they count roads as half, and if they don't end adjacent to enemy units, leg units can add +2 to their movement rates. As I'm working through this, if you've got any questions, let me know. Happy to address them. This is my first foray into this system, so it's a bit of a learning game, but the rules are very nice and clear. So this is the rule book. It's beautiful, glossy, illustrations throughout, nice and colourful, very clear. I don't think I had many, if any, rules questions as I worked through there. It's all pretty well written and illustrated and nice and clear. I may have to consult it from time to time just to check some things, but there wasn't much that I was uncertain about. And I think I've mentioned this was a review copy provided by VUCA Simulations, so thank you to them for sending this out. I'm very happy with it so far. Okay, so let's get started. As I said, just activating the the 1st Infantry Division, they have a formation activation number of 7. The first thing I do when I activate them is I reduce their activation number and I make a die roll. So a 3 is not great. With this, I can salt the formation activation level. 7 and a 3 just gives me 3 action points. That's not great. I wanted more than that. I can then spend these 3 action points to do things with my units off that formation. As I said, I want to focus up here. So, what can I do? Well, the obvious thing to do is 1.5, 2, and stop there. That's 1 action point. Now, if I were to, I'll point it out in a moment, but let's try another one. 1, 2, I guess. Another action point. Let's try and spend a 3rd action point. 1, 2. And that's the end of my formation activation. Because I only got 3 action points, that wasn't a great opening. Let's hope I can get something better on the next one. At the end of that formation, I move to this next formation activation roll. Again, this is a specific rule for this scenario. I roll the dice again. Oh God, it's a 2. As is not going well, we now go 6. 2 is just 2 activations. I move down the formation activation marker and I have 2 actions to do. Alright, so we'll move, activate these guys. They'll go 1, 1/2, 2.5. That's disappointing. And then I'll try and bring in another formation, 1.5. Actually, they can get an extra 2 movement points because they're not ending next to an enemy force. Not great, not a great start. That's the end of my 2nd formation activation, so there goes my decisive victory. Incidentally, this is a rule I wanted to point out as it came up. When in a normal game you move next to an enemy force, you enter an enemy zone of control, you stop movement, so it locks you in, halts your movement, but your opponent also has the opportunity, well, they have the opportunity to make a reaction, what's called a reaction check, or words to that effect. Basically, they roll a d10 and they check their reaction number of their HQ. It's very hard to see. It's this little red 4 here on the German HQ. So if this were a 2-player game, whenever I entered an enemy zone of control, they'd roll a dice. On a 4 or less, they'd succeed. My activation halts, and they get to make a reaction die roll. So they get reaction points to spend. If they fail, I continue with my movement. But then again, if I move into another enemy zone of control, they get another chance to roll and potentially interrupt my formation. If they succeed in doing so, my formation activation halts completely. I get no more movement, no more points to spend. But again, just to reiterate, this is the introductory solitaire scenario, so none of that happens. Okay, so I move to my third formation activation now. I roll the dice again. That's a bit better. It's a 7. But I'm now down to formation level 5, and a 7 will give me 5 activation points. Okay, so now I'm ready to attack. I move the action point marker down to 5. So you can see here, they've gone from 7 to 6, and 6 to 5, and with this third activation, 5 to 4, I have 5 points to spend here. And I'm set up for my first attack. So if I show you here, there are 3 types of attacks you can make. A hasty attack is basically 1 unit attacking the enemy. A regular attack, which is where you can draw on adjacent friendly units of the same formation to provide a +1 dice roll modifier. And a repaired attack, where you can draw on those same adjacent units for a +2 dice roll modifier. In a regular attack, you can draw on your HQ's attack support times half, so I'll get 3 extra points here as a dice roll modifier. In a prepared attack, I get that full value +6 dice roll modifier, which can really help me here. So I'm spending 1, 2, 3 points to declare a prepared attack against the northern point in that German line. I have, and I'll remove this marker so you can see what's under here, infantry with a defense of 3. Yeah, and I will also point out while I'm here that you'll notice this army here has a tank value of 6. Most of the infantry have the white anti-tank values, and the Germans have an anti-tank value of 0. We're not really going to see much impact from these tank and anti-tank values in this particular scenario, because we're looking at the 1st Infantry Division, who have no armoured formation, no AFVs in their division in this particular sort of situation. There are independent units that can join, and yeah, a lot of armour in the full campaign, but not in this learning scenario. So what I have here is my 6 versus the defender's 3. To my 6, I add +2 for the adjacent friendly unit. Now, they don't necessarily participate in the combat, they don't suffer combat losses, but they confer that +2 dice roll modifier. I also add the +6 for my HQ. So I have 6 + 8. The defender has a strength of 3, and they have 1 adjacent friendly unit, so it's -1. Okay, so I'm at 6 + 8, 3 -1, so we're looking at a net dice roll modifier of +7. 8 -1 is 7. There are no hexside terrain modifiers that apply. We are looking at a pillbox in a dense forest. So it doesn't affect any, there's no CRT dice roll modifiers, there's no armour involved here, so I don't need to worry about these modifiers. The next step now is just to draw. It's another interesting phase of this game. We draw a combat multiplier chit for the defender and 1 for the attacker. Now, this attacking unit has an efficiency rating, it's a little 7 here, of 7. So we look at the 7 here, and under a prepared attack, this is very difficult to see, but the right hand side column here, there's a 3. 7, third column 3. The first column is for a hasty attack, the second column is for a regular attack, the third column is for a prepared attack. So the higher their efficiency rating, the more likely you are to get a beneficial modifier. The better the attack, the more likely you are to get a beneficial modifier. So in this case, I have a multiplier of 3, which gives me 18 attack factors. The defender, with an efficiency rating of 3, is in, they're not disrupted, they're not in an improved defense, but they got lucky here. They get a 3 multiplier as well. So I go up to 18, they go up to 9. So unfortunately, I've only got a combat odds ratio of 2 to 1. It's only half HQ value if you're doing a regular attack, Earl. So I'm doing a prepared attack, which gives me the full HQ value of 6. Hey Joffrey, welcome. So yeah, half value, half HQ attack support if it's a regular attack, which costs me 2 points, or full value if it's a prepared attack, which costs me 3 action points. And I spent the full 3 action points to get that value, plus the additional +1 dice roll modifier from my adjacent friendly unit of the same formation. I will point out that you can draw on support of other friendly units, adjacent units of a different formation, who will provide a +1 dice roll modifier only in a prepared assault. In a regular attack, you can't use them at all. Okay, so looking at 2 to 1, we consult the terrain. So we're looking at pretty horrible terrain column here. It's pillbox in forest, 2 to 1. So this is the row we're using here. I have a net +7 dice roll modifier, so let's roll the dice. And that is a 10, which is pretty good. So 2 to 1 in a forest, 10 +7 brings me down to here, 17. And you can see the 0, 3. What does this mean? First of all, we resolve all defender effects first. The red underlined result means that the defender must make an efficiency check. That means they must roll equal to or less than their efficiency rating, in this case 3, or become disrupted, I think. They succeed remarkably. But now they have to satisfy 3 losses. The First loss is always a step loss. Now when these units lose steps, they don't technically lose steps, they lose strength. So they go from a 3 to a 2. Their second step loss can either then be a retreat or a voluntary step loss. Now because this is AI driven, I don't know what the Germans are going to want to do. Yeah, they'll want to absorb unless forced to conduct a forced retreat. So they want to take a second step loss. And then they want to suffer a third step loss. So they're going to voluntarily, it's a bit weird, but they want to take step losses instead of retreating. They'll suffer a forced retreat. Let me double check this. Yeah, if you fail the EC, they become disrupted. The second hit must be a forced retreat. Okay, so that's when all units must perform an EC. All units that fail become disrupted. And if there was a second hit, there may only be one hit, but their second hit would have to be a retreat. So the Germans are wiped out. But now, the American unit attacking must also conduct an EC, an efficiency check. With a 7 or less, they just succeed. So they are not disrupted. Now, the Americans won the battle. 3 losses to 0. So we turn them into the victor now. Yeah, the side that had the lower combat hit number, so 0 to 3, wins. And they gain a bonus action point. And they can use this action point to do whatever they want. So if there's an adjacent enemy, they can do a hasty attack. What I want to do is just move into that area there. Okay, now I still have, that's 3 of my 5 from this activation. I still have 2 action points remaining. And I am going to spend them for a regular attack now on this point in the west wall. I'm attacking with the same unit down to the south here. Notice I can use action points to activate the same unit over and over again. If I have 7 action points, I can move, all with the same unit. So I'm activating this unit that's just advanced. There's no advance after combat. You have to use that bonus AP to advance. I'm now spending 2 action points to do a regular attack. Let me show you the chart here. Regular attack, I don't have 3 anymore, but a regular attack is still pretty decent. I will gain half my headquarters attack support, so 3 plus a 1 dice modifier, so I'm going to net 4. The defender is again in the same terrain, so pillbox in dense forest, which is at night. So I'm looking at 6 to 3, 2 to 1. Again, no tank units to worry about. And they do have, let me double check this. I'm going to check that adjacent defender bonus. So firing units adjacent to the enemy are eligible. Sorry, just checking the combat DRMs. There's hexside terrain, nothing applies here. Friendly combat units adjacent. The friendly combat units the same formation. The friendly unit projects a zone of control into the enemy. Okay, so it has to project a zone of control. So in this case, I've got the Germans have a friendly unit here, but this unit doesn't project a zone of control into the attacking unit, nor did it here in fact, so they shouldn't have got, it should have in fact been an 18 result on the CRT, 2 to 1, 18, which is exactly the same, so it makes no difference. In this case though, they don't get a +1, so we're looking at 3 half HQ plus 1 for an adjacent friendly attacking unit, no adjacent defending unit projecting into the attacker's hex. So looking at net +4, we draw a defender, we get rid of these, and an attacker modifier. They have an efficiency rating of 3. Oh, they've got another triple. And I have, oh, lucky. No, unlucky. Ugh, wow. Germans are getting really lucky here, both with my formation activation rolls and their combat multipliers. So an efficiency rating 3 regular unit triples their defense to a 9, and my efficiency rating of 7 under a regular attack, 1 multiplier. So looking at 6 to 9 here, which is a 2 to 3 ratio on the CRT in a pillbox. So 2 to 3 is literally the worst column. The only good thing for me here is I have a +4 modifier coming up. And I need another 10. Come on. An 8 is not bad. +4 is 12. Pushes me to 2 step loss, 1 step loss. Okay. So I'm going to lose a defender first. 1 step loss is mandatory. 1 step loss, sorry. It's used to flipping things. 1 strength loss. They go down to 2. And they must make an efficiency check of 3 or less, which they fail. So they are now disrupted, but there is no second loss, so they don't have to make that mandatory retreat. So they can stay in the hex. The Americans now suffer 2 strength losses, which is frustrating because I brought a good deal of force there and just failed. That's it in my third activation. I've got one more activation, formation activation left to try to win this scenario. So that's the end of the turn. I go to the next one, roll the dice, an 8. I am sitting on 4. So it goes down to 3, and I go 4, 8, 5 activations. Good. Okay. So that slides down to 5. And how am I going to clear out these last 2 hexes? Well, what is the West Wall going to do to me? The Dragon's Teeth, rather. A -1 dice roll modifier. I think it's worth it because just to get that extra, the 6 attacking, basically. I've got a 4 strength unit here and a 6 strength unit here. So if they attack, it'll be 2 to 1 -1 versus 1 to 1 minus nothing. I think this is a better attacking force. So I'm going to do a what am I going to do? A regular attack. So I'm spending 2 points. Half of this +1, so 3 + 4 again. Put these back. Similar odds as before. I currently have 2 to 1. Actually, no, because they are reduced, aren't they? I have 3 to 1 in here. 3 to 1 +4. Okay. Let's draw an attacking chip and a defending chip. I'm on 7. A regular attack is ×3. Excellent. They are on 3. A regular defense is ×3 as well. So they go up to 6. I go up to 18. So looking at 3 to 1 in the pillbox in forest. 3 to 1 +4. Let's see what we roll. Cocked. That's an 8. I'll call that an 8. 3 to 1, 8 + 4 is 12. 1 to 2. Now they need to make an efficiency check. They need 3 or less. They pass, unbelievable, but 2 losses, they're going to be wiped out. I now suffer 1 step loss, so I go down to 5. And because I win the combat, I get 1 free AP, which I'll use to move this unit into there. Okay, now I have 3 action points left. I'm going to spend, for a choice here, I was thinking about moving 1 unit in closer and attacking with them, and then doing another regular attack. Or I can spend those last 3 action points to do a prepared attack, which will give me a +6 modifier. So it's either, I've got a choice of 6, 2 to 1. Oh, so if I move this unit in, I'll get 2 to 1 odds plus 4. 2 to 1 odds plus 4. Or if I just do a prepared assault now, it'll be 1 to 1 plus 7. 2 to 1, well, maybe not 2 to 1. Oh, yeah, 1 to 1. Oh, 3 to 2. There is no there is a 3 to 2 plus 7. Maybe I'll just leave it how it is and do a prepared assault, because there's better odds of getting a good multiplier with a prepared assault as well. So I'll stay exactly how I am. 1, 2, 3. A prepared assault on the last victory position I need here. It is another pillbox in forest position. I have a strength of 5. They have defense of 3. So looking at 3 to 2 odds. It's a prepared assault, so I get the full 6 from here. No adjacent units. So 3 to 2 plus 6. And I just need to draw the 2 combat multiplier chips. Okay, one for the defender, one for the attacker. Defender gets unlucky, finally, a 1 times multiplier. The attacker gets a times 3. So I'm up to 15 versus 3, 5 to 1 now, with a plus 6 modifier. 5 to 1, a roll of 10 is going to be nice. Okay, so we go down to 4 to 1, a roll of 10 plus 6 is 16, 0, 3. They make an efficiency rating check, they fail, so they're disrupted, they suffer a step loss, 1, a retreat, 2, and a second step loss, 3. So they're down to strength 1. I suffer 1 step loss. No, it was 0, 3, wasn't it? Sorry. I make an efficiency rating check. I pass. I get 1 free AP. And I have captured those 3 objective hexes very narrowly on the last turn of this scenario, which is in 4 activations. As you can see here, a satisfactory victory. Not great, but it's satisfactory. If I would have failed that, poor performance, try again, 5 activations. So you can see, I spent, just to reiterate, I went 1, 2, 3, 4 activations. Rolled very poorly on the first 2, but decently on the last 2. And rolled up that German line from the north to the south. Again, just reiterate, this is a very special scenario that kind of just focuses all your attention on the 1st Infantry Division formation activations. In a normal game, you'd go back and forth, there'd be interruptions, reactions. But yeah, I really like the system. I think it's fascinating. A lot of interesting decisions to make about how you spend your points. And as you can just see in those last 3 examples there, do I bring more forces to bear, or do I prepare an assault with what I've got and rely on that positive dice roll modifier? You kind of, well, not only that, but by doing a prepared assault, let me just give you an example here. I'll draw out another random combat chip. So if I have an efficiency rating, that's a good one. I'll get another one. If I have an efficiency rating of 7, here we go. A prepared assault will give me a 2 times multiplier, but a regular attack will only give me a 1 times multiplier. So by spending that extra point to get the prepared assault, you're increasing your chance of getting better odds. You're increasing the headquarters support. Yeah, some really interesting kind of, do I do this or do I do that? And it's very interesting. I mean, I've basically led the attack with 2 formations of that division, and the other guys haven't moved at all. Yeah, very interesting. Keen to see how this, I'm going to move on straight to a larger scenario, set this up and keep the ball rolling. Folks, I'll round this up here, but I hope that's been of interest. This is Crossing the Line, Arc of 1944 by VUCA Simulations. Yeah, lots to unpack on what I'm looking forward to. So let me just show you the next scenario here. We're looking at scenario 2, the Stolberg Corridor. We're looking at quite a large map here. I'm looking forward to seeing some armour in play, because there are armour modifiers. You determine, yeah, attacking armour versus defending armour or AT. There are various terrain effects that shape this as well. and hex side multipliers, sometimes completely cancelling out the armor effects and the like. Yeah, could be very interesting. So stay tuned for scenario 2 coming up soon. Thanks everyone, and take care.